Okay, I think that should be us on and popping. Let's see, a little bit early, which is good. Hope everybody's doing great. We're gonna give it the full minute, I guess, to get right in. At least, if everything's working right. Hopefully, I'm currently checking to make sure that it does. And it looks like everything is good to go.
Hope everybody's doing great.
Yeah, it looks like we're running. Okay, so welcome back. I'm Pat. This is Pieces Pat Paints, and we are painting a witch. This lovely witch. She is a very pretty witch. She's looking very good, looking very spooky indeed. She has that very old world look to her eyes, where things are a little bit dirtier and weirier and grimmer. That's what we want. We want the grimy fairy tale stuff. Today we're gonna start working on bringing out the skirt, and then we are going to finish off her little boots. And then we're gonna come back here and we're gonna start doing the back work on her hair and her cloak, and then we're gonna finish. Eventually, we'll come back. We'll finish the hat at the very end before we do the border here. But I think we are gonna go with a slate color here, which is fun. Now, this little ride could go a while. So normally I do about an hour, and this one may be a little longer. I'm not really sure. So, but we've already talked about a bunch of things, and we're not actually making a whole lot of choices. So I don't have to do a whole heck of a lot of thinking. I have to do a whole heck of a lot of talking, which is fun for me. I don't know how much fun it is for you, fine folks, because there's just no telling if you guys actually like hearing me run my mouth. I never know. So okay, we're gonna do that cloak first. The skirt first. So we're gonna get this nice purple out. I was using this purple earlier. My daughter and I are both working on a Santa Claus together. It's a lot of fun. He's really cute too. So we are working on this Santa Claus together. He's going to be a lot of fun. So, but that's something that we're working on. So we were already using this purple today, and we finally got into it. It's been sitting on the palette waiting for me to play with it for a while. So it's always fun. Alright, so dry brushing. Really make sure you got just a little bit of the paint on your brush. You got to be super careful to not come in with too much of it, because dry brushing can really get out of control really fast. Start making it look more like globs of paint and less like wisps of paint. So we really want to bring this out because we want to let all these folds show. It's really going to help her look good. And if we get to where it looks a little too bright, we can always come back a little bit more with some of the other purples, darken them down and range them up. But first off, let's just get all the parts showing so we can see what we're looking at exactly. And remember, pay attention to where your light source is. So wherever that light source is, I kept saying sun yesterday, and it's not, it doesn't necessarily have to be sun. It can be torchlight or moonlight or whatever the light source is what we're trying to kind of emulate. Okay, so as you can see, she is looking really nice, huh? So, and I think that is probably a little too bright, but that's okay. Like I said, we started out with it being bright, and we're gonna kind of come back and mute this up a little bit. But now we know where we're working at, so it's really easy to come back and do it. And that's still too bright. I'm really gonna need a darker color. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Because this is what the color of the skirt actually is this. And getting that round with the lighter color in there is going to play to our advantage too, because it's going to let that highlight really stand out. Now you can see how I came back with the muted to bring it back, and you can see how before it was really bright, and we want that really bright to stay on that edge because that's right in the light. Okay, same thing over here on this side. This one's a whole lot wider. We're going to come back with this one, and once we get done with it and we've muted down this color, we've now given her a real pretty purple for her deal. And we have that light tone where that light is, you can bing right down on her. Yeah, so and she's got this little trim on it. I think I want to paint the trim something, and there's just not quite enough metal on this. I'm kind of a metal fan, both of the alloys and substances itself, minerals, elements, as well as the colors, but also the music. So like, I love a little metal. So we're gonna go ahead and pull out a Kolinsky, and I really want some silver. I'm feeling the silver. That's gotten a little dried out on us. Our wet palette is only going to keep the paints going for so long, and it's probably about time to re-wet that palette, which I'm really kind of hoping we can avoid doing and finish this up, because I'll strip this palette off for the next whatever we make. There's still some good paint in there. There it is. That's another advantage to these thicker paints. They'll start to dry on top, make a little bubble, and on the inside the paint's still in good shape. Okay, so we're trying to just catch the trim. Might need a little more water. And that's the thing is that you really, if you want to get really good, learning how to control consistency of paint is super important. And that's where I still work on that all the time. Controlling consistency of paint. Because it's not just the ability to put the paint on there. Like, okay, there's lots of people who can get really good at this, but then they still, no matter how smooth they move their hands, they're getting clumps, yeah, and stuff like that. And that's just from the consistency of the paint itself, the way you're putting the paint together. Oof, gotta be super careful. I already made a little boo-boo. Really don't want to mess up her legs. I might need an even smaller brush than this one. This one may be too big. Yep. Alright. Always clean those brushes out before you stop using them, so you keep them in good shape. Like I said, then you can have some of these really nicer brushes. They'll last you for, old enough to drink kind of brushes. Alright, there we go. Maybe still a little too much paint there. Yes. There we go. Get back in frame. Sorry. There we go. That's much better. And you can see where I made my little boo-boos here. I'll have to come back and touch those up. And little tiny accents like this are always going to help sell it. And I don't mean like make money or whatever, but like those little details make it look more realistic, more grand. Because, you know, it's a witch. She's totally going to want the silver trim. You think you're going to be able to not to get this witch to not buy this? I don't think so. Heck, she might not have bought it. She might have just took it from you. It is, after all, a witch. May not even have been took it from you. She may have just convinced you to give it to her. Because again, it's a witch. Yep. Okay, alright. You can see that's going to look real nice. Especially once I fix that little bit of mess up over there. Got a little bit of a crack in the model, unfortunately. Which that is probably my fault from taking it out. I don't know if you've dealt with a lot of 3D printing, but it can be a little bit interesting at times. I might be able to fix that sort of a thing, but that's a lot of extra work we're not going to worry about at this point. I didn't notice earlier. So we are going to just move on. So my mom won't notice, nor would she care. And since this is a gift, that's the best part. If this were a piece for a sell, I would probably fix it. Oh yeah, I really liked this idea. This was a good idea, guys. And keep that brush wet. It is a thing for sure. And right now, my water is a little bit purpley, so I got to make sure I'm rinsing it out and then getting some clean water. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Right? That's gonna make okay. So we're gonna do all the purple or all the silver, and then we're gonna go back and we'll do the rest of that purple. It feels like we're cruising pretty good now, so let's go ahead and get this done. Deep breath, big strokes, maybe bold strokes. I should come up with a theme song, a theme idea, name, thing to say. What? Bob Ross was the happy little trees, happy little trees. Deep breaths, broad strokes. Bold strokes. I like bold. That sounds like fun. Oh, we got our first comment yesterday. Shout out to the young lady that commented yesterday. I really appreciate it. I believe it was Delta Blue or some, I believe was the name. Oop, and looky there, made a boo-boo. And that one is bad enough. I think we can probably pull it out by... Where'd it go? How did I lose it that fast? There it is. Yeah, I'm tripping about it, and it's like I couldn't even find it. That's funny. Oh goodness. Okay, all right. Where were we? We're painting stuff, aren't we? Okay. Like I said, I'm trying to make sure that pure silver is staying as pure as possible, which is why I'm staying away from that little bit of red, which I think dried on top, which is, that's nice, but there we go. Alrighty. Yeah, this is going to help draw a lot of this together. There we go. Alright, so now all that's done, we're going to come back and we'll just do a little quick touch up on some of this purple where we may have gotten a little out of control. And that way, it all looks gravy, right? Some of these places may need a little bit of that darker purple. Some places may want a little bit of that lighter purple. But all in all, should touch us up real nice. Gives us a chance to find any place where maybe our silver is a little weak. Because sometimes you just don't quite get enough of the color on there. So you're like, oh, I need a little bit more. Okay, so that's done. That is done. That is done. You know, what I think I'm going to do, it looks like she's got little... We need to make these out of something else, though. So right here on the tips of her boots, let's see if I can get the camera to focus on it just right. Ow, that hurt. It's kind of hard to tell. There we go. Alright, so right up there on the tips of her boots, she's got little, looks like little tabs. It'd be fun to paint those like a metal. Maybe we'll do this. I got like a black metal. Well, or maybe like a dark gray metal. Gun metal kind of color. Lead. And this one's a Citadel color. This is, what is this, Iron Warrior, so it's an iron color. I'm just gonna leave it right up there on top. And we'll put that on there, and we're gonna let that set up, and then we'll maybe shine her shoes later, which is fun. I suppose we could make her whole shoe that color, but I feel like it'd be fun just to do the tips, and then maybe we do black on the rest of it. Make the tips of these metal. Ooh. Just getting those little tips. Yeah. And we'll And that's just a little bit of black, a little bit of Mars black. Check my time, see how we're doing. My phone's not dead. Oh, I think my phone died. Look at there. That happens to me a lot. There we go. That's looking nice, huh? We'll do our other one too. And sometimes, like, all you really need to do with stuff is break colors up, and it can really help things pop off. Just this putting a heel and a hard sole on these shoes, it really isn't that much, but it'll sell these shoes as looking a little bit more real. There it is. Goodness, okay. Come on, get on there. I hate it when you get like a little bubble of paint on one side of your brush and it just won't quite come off for you. I think that's, if you've painted, you know what I'm talking about. All right. Finish off these boots. A little bit of boot scooting boogie. All right. Get this one and ooh. That's all right. I saved that one. Mostly, we're getting ready to put some more of the brown back on them. I'll fix that up real quick. So sometimes just get a little too excited, get ahead of yourself, and just make a little mistake, and that's okay. I think people who don't think they make any mistakes are foolish. Like if you're that perfect, what are you doing here? Like why I see that all the time on the other comments on things like Reddit and stuff like that, where people get so, I don't know, dismissive of people, and it's like, well, yeah, I haven't ever seen you post anything, which I find that kind of thing amusing. So anyway, alrighty. Well, that's it. We're gonna finish knocking out this little extra push on these boots. Gotta come through and do her strings on her shirt and such. Definitely want to come back and highlight the tops of these boots, though. That's really, or just edge highlighting is one of the terms they use for that. And all I'm doing is just kind of putting paint right on the edge of it, and it helps it kind of stand out. especially on that edge that's going to be really worn. Like it would have had a lot of the pure color of the brighter end of the color. All right. Okay. Well, should we go with pure white for her little strings? Or should we go with a little bit of the yellow? Oh, that's going to be way too much paint. Oh. Well, let's see. Golly. So you just want to barely touch it. This stuff always makes me a little nervous. I'm just barely touching it. I'm just trying to let that top edge get picked up with the brush. And it definitely can make you shaky and make you nervous. And so you want to just breathe. Be calm. Be real calm. And just kind of hit them up. And the good thing about something like this is that we can always kind of come back through with a little bit of wash later on if we have to, and mute some of that down. So we'll just grab a little bit of that raw umber again and just come on right in here and just mute it down just a touch. Let it fill in those cracks, and it'll take care of any of your major mistakes and leave it looking pretty legit. Really hard to tell all that one on camera. Could probably use a little bit more repair work up here. I got a little bit weird up here at the very top. Again, that's why we want to use that umber as a wash, because we can really come back through and fix that pretty easily, because our wash is already down there and that's already going to be that color. So all we really have to do to bring it back to looking more legit is, and yeah, you can see how it's setting in. It's already starting to look a whole lot better. So you can see how that works. And that's what we want to do with that. Had a little thing go weird on me over there. Don't know what that's all about. Okay. Hair time, I think. Now, maybe we should do something. We should probably do something about those guys. Now, those definitely don't need to be white. We don't want them white. We're going to do this Naples yellow. Not just because it's my favorite, one of my favorite colors, but just because it's going to look great against this vermilion and orange cadmium. Doing so good saying that word. I've been practicing all week. Oh. I hear the lovely Christian walking around. She's listening to me in the other part of the house, which is entertaining. Hopefully it doesn't interfere with the stream too much. It's kind of nice to have her watching it, though. She can see what we're doing and how I'm doing. Oop, there we go. Back in frame. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you see how that little bit really helps stand out that middle section when we were working on it before. That section looked great, but now you really see how much more it stands out. The camera trying to focus. I gotta learn how to get that thing to stay still. I think if I could get it to stop moving around. A friend of mine had mentioned that, and I don't know how you do that. So hopefully we can figure that out. Ooh, she's spooky witch. All right. Anyway, that's fun, and we could be done playing with that. Okay. I've been holding off on doing this hair, but it looks like we're there. So we're gonna do that. Now, what we ended up doing here in the front is we used a couple of these different colors. It was a little bit of the vermilion, a little bit of the cadmium, and a little bit of this sienna. That may be too much sienna there. That, and then why not? We don't know. Let's mix it up. Yeah, let's get a little bit more of the orange and the red. There we go. Alright, so again, dry brush. We're just trying to barely touch these tips. And at first, sometimes it doesn't even feel like there's any paint going on it. So be patient and kind of keep gently going over that spot again and again and again. Okay? Because like I said, it's going to feel sometimes like there's nothing's happening at first. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I see it. It's starting to make colors. The main key is don't like push down hard with your dry brush, because that will not work in your favor. You just want to barely flick it. And again, we want to be mindful of the way the sun or moon or whatever light source we have would be affecting our model. So it doesn't make sense to turn that super red under there, you know. It's not going to see a lot of, it wouldn't be seeing a lot of light. And there's her hair now. That's all nice and standing out. Matches our front. Looks really good. Again, we're going to clean that out. Dry brushes, you got to really clean out a dry brush. Put her down for a second while we clean this out. So, that's all done. Hope everybody's ready for Christmas. That's like right around the corner. We will not be broadcasting on Christmas. Because I'll probably be hanging out with my family. As I'm sure a lot of you will as well. Not everybody, but maybe a lot of you. And that's awesome. That's we like that. Oh, goodness. Let's see. All right. So the next thing we've got to do is get her cloak done. And in order to do that, we are going to go back for another dry brush. But I think, because you can see where we've started to roll off a little bit of this black from handling it a lot. And that happens. Which is why I kind of left it alone, because I knew my fingers are going to be all over it while we're working on everything else. We're going to come back. We're going to go ahead and give it one last good coat of our black. Make sure we got everything nice and darked out the way we want it. We're not going to stress this down here much anymore because we have made the decision to go with slate, which has all sorts of different kinds of colors in it. So a little bit of black isn't going to be a big deal. Make sure we're getting all the surfaces nice and black. We're going to come through later and we're going to dry brush over it with some gray to make it all stand out. While this is drying, we'll probably get started on that base, which will be fun. I kind of want to get a little bit of a slate color to, I think I said that already, to it. So we're going to get, and like a multicolored slate. So it's going to have a couple of different things going on it, and it'll be fun. And I think it'll help draw the cloak out a little bit better. Anywhere else? Oh, I see a place. This is that last chance to make sure you get all your black really black. And fix those white stripes that I put in there somewhere in this filming. All right, that is all done. Okay, so with this slate color, it's I probably need a little bit of Payne's Gray, which is actually over here. Oh, all right. I love this color. This is one of my favorite little colors. We get a whole lot of it, so we're gonna set it right down there where that other gray we were working on was. We just need a little tiny bit because we're gonna lighten this up. And then on the palette, that's looking super dark. So, and Payne's Gray is interesting. So it almost looks black when you look at it, but it is like a bluish gray. You can kind of see it there. So it's kind of a bluish gray, which is great for lots of different stone effects and stuff like that. If you're a Warhammer painter, you can use Payne's Gray as Fenrir Gray or what. Anyway, Fenris Gray, whatever that gray for the Space Wolves is, Space Wolf Gray. This will turn it. You can make it that color pretty easily because it is kind of that same blue gray. So we're going to start off with that for our color base for the bottom of this. A little bit of that water. Yeah, you see how much smoother that spread out than it was before. That's why we got to learn. Make sure you're controlling that water. Learn that paint viscosity. Learn how to control the thickness. Super important, especially if you're painting with higher end paints like this. These actual artist grade acrylics are a little bit of a different kind of beast than hobby paints or modeling paints, your Army Painter and stuff like that. And I like some of their stuff. I like some of the Army Painter stuff. I have Army Painter and Citadel right here. But these other ones, I use paints for all sorts of different things, so I just keep the one kinds of paints. And then I paint with this is what I paint with. So when you're, if you're getting a piece of my work, then it is definitely got the higher quality paints on it. You're not gonna, I'm not skimping you on cheap paint. Like the airbrush stuff might have been, Army Painter or something like that on there, but it's not. I'm not going down and buying the basics from Walmart or something. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Like if that's what you're using to do your painting, then like, bro, go for it. It doesn't matter. It's your painting. It's your stuff. You got to paint what you got to paint. You got to paint your way. So whatever it is you're using to paint, that's the way to do it. My point is that in the studio, we just use a little bit of a, higher grade. So I guess I spoiled myself a little bit, I don't think there's anything wrong with that though, right? Nothing wrong with that. And I think that thing I had up was giving us track of the commentary, but it is now gone off. And I didn't actually see anybody commenting at all, so I'm not really particularly worried about it. At least not right now. I'm going to figure that out next stream. So if you are commenting and I'm missing it, it's because I am definitely trying to get this done. But I think I finally figured a few of those little things out. Ways we can interact and stuff like that. Even had a share button, so I'll have to work on that because I think we can share it to pages and stuff that way, which is super cool. We can share it while it's going live, which is the way we're supposed to do it, right? I just ask questions I can't actually see answers to. Okay, so that's the start of that. We're going to let this brush real well. We're going to let that dry off. We got to remember to do her little vial that's on the inside of her cloak. And we got to glue her magic thing back on and paint that. And I'm probably going to do that again. When we get up to the hat, we do the end of the hat, which we're going to be heading that way very, very soon. Because it looks like we are mostly dry. There's a little bit more touch-up paint right here. This is always like the tedious part, going through and making sure that you got every little crack done. I think a lot of people miss those things too, down at the bottom. So yeah, if you ever want to check somebody's work, always check down here, because this is usually where they've gotten fed up and they've said, I've had enough. It used to happen to me all the time. It's just like, that was the end of it. I'll just leave it. See, I found another little, not you. Found a little piece of white that didn't get redone right. Alright, that'll help. This will make you nervous, eh? Just barely, again, you're talking like barely touching it. Barely touching it. No, and I don't even think you can tell in the camera. But you can tell here. You can tell her eyes are different. You can really see them looking now. When we do the final photo, I post that in the little shortsy TikTok-y thingy. You'll be able to probably see her eyes a lot better. Okay, so that thing back there, we're talking about that. I definitely want to keep up with this green, because this green's almost like it's glowing, and we kind of want that. So it looks like it needs a little fresh water. Got to the good stuff, and I need to liquidize it. There we go. Get a little bit off there, and then come back. Okay. And if you want to make it look like it's glowing, we're just going to put a little bit of that color around the outside edge on this cloak. But you got to be super light with it. You don't want to do too much. And it needs to be just where it's going to make it glow. And then a lot of times what I'll do is I'll come back with whatever the color was that goes on the edge, and I'm just kind of mute that down just a little bit and blend them. So, woof, getting a little black water in there. We don't want that. Okay, that's super wet. Top of that black, it should start to blend real nice for us. Give us a little bit of that glowing effect back in there. Maybe just a touch more of that black. And like I said, I'm getting a lot of that off my brush before I'm coming in here and working on this. Because I don't want it to look like it's glowing real bright. I just want a little bit of a glow back in there. Again, this may be an effect that's really not big on the camera, but you can kind of see it back in there glowing. And if you don't like it, and you're like, yeah, I don't like that, you can always just come back through, hit it up with the black, it'll be fine. Nobody will ever know you even tried. And that's the best part about knowing kind of how to hide these things once you get them in there. Like, oh, okay, well, I didn't like that, so how do I make it look like it? I never did that. You know, the answer is you've got to just paint over it and go on. That's a weird thing. I wonder what that is. Maybe that was a burr. I don't even know if you can. I don't even see it. Right there underneath your arm. Right there. There's this little weird thing. I'm going to leave that alone. I think it's a burr I missed. But we're going to leave it alone. Okay. Let's see. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to sink some black into this stonework, which is why we didn't worry about the black earlier. So we need really wet black. And this one, I don't care if it's dirty water. I'm making black wash, so like if it's dirty water, okay. See, and this is almost instant effect. So we're gonna do this is really gonna be weird because we're gonna do a black wash and then we're gonna do a brown wash like right after it. So it's like, okay, well, why do we do both of those? And We're actually getting ready to layer up a bunch of different washes. And it's going to help this stone look like stone. And what I probably will end up doing is grabbing some inks to finish them off, because then it kind of looks like polished slate. Because Indian ink has this shinier quality than most of my acrylics do. This wash is also going to help us seal up any of these edges where the cloak is, darken them up. We can use it to help get a little bit of shadow in underneath her. Lots of things we can do with a good wash. And like, you know, we could have done this when we did the other wash, and that would have been fine and dandy, but ooh, that's a little too thick, isn't it? Look at that. Okay, so see how thick that is? That's too thick, that wash is. So we're just going to come in here with some more water, and we're just going to turn it into thinner wash on the model. Easy. That's the fun part about making your own washes and such as you go. The great part about this is like it's gotten my watch count views way up. And my hours watched, I'm flying on those. So thank you, super big thanks to everybody who watches these things and comes by. Even if you're coming by for just a second, big thank you. I'm not sure. I probably should say that earlier in the video. I should probably set up with the thanks to everybody, thank yous and stuff. But I really do appreciate it. It is really cool. It's a lot of fun to be able to sit around here and paint things and talk about what we're doing and do this sort of thing. It's a really neat idea. And I appreciate everybody who pushed me into doing this. Because there was some pushing, and that's okay. Your people who love you and support you should push you, right? Into the right places to do the right things. Okay, now we need to let that dry. While we let that dry, we can work on this cloak some more. Alright, so we're gonna start a regular gray over here instead of the Payne's gray. And you'll see how much of a difference that is. There's a huge difference in the two grays. I think you can see that on the palette maybe. You'll definitely be able to tell when we start painting with it. There's two very different types of gray. And we want this to be real dark. You don't want to dry brush on here with like a super bright color, because we are really just trying to make the black stand more black in the cracks and accentuate the highlights where the folds of the cloth are. We're not trying to turn this another color really, because it's supposed to be a black cloak, not a gray cloak. So really just a gentle, quick, easy brush. We are not going to do a lot of work here. We are not trying to get a lot of color. We are going to let most of this cloak do its own work for itself. We just want to help a little bit. And it's another one of those fun ones where if you do mess it up a little bit, you can always just, paint it black and go at it again. You'll be alright. Alright. That is done. Now, there is the matter of this trim that's on the middle of this cloak, which is cool. This is one of the things I love about Loot and the way they make these models. So there's, and some of you may have noticed this, but there's this little piece right here. A lot of model makers, they wouldn't have messed with that. That's just an extra little bit in the mold. It's gonna make it hard to come out. But this is a 3D printed piece. So, but even 3D printer people, a lot of STL guys, they'll miss this little detail when they're designing a sculpt. Is having this little break right here. And I might be with too big of the brush again. We're going to see. Get it together, Pat. Looks like we're doing good so far. I like the biggest brushes I can use on an area because they carry more paint with them. But it does, the risk reward is there. You are taking a risk. But I think you can tell how this little trim right here is going to help this really stand out for us. And it's just some little quick work. Oh, a little bit of boo-boo. But that's okay. This is black, so that's like the easiest thing to fix. Black is easy. You just kind of push that right up to the line. Make sure you're not dragging color with you, and then drag it out to smooth it out. Then we're going to come back. Now we got to come back and dry brush that again. Here in a second, when it dries, we'll just hit the vector with the dry brush, and that will be done. Okay. I guess it's time to glue that on there, isn't it? Oh, I guess we could do a little bit of these jewel works. Okay. So first thing, when we make a jewel, we're going to make it white first. There we go. Sorry about that. White first. Okay, and then I'll come back later and I'm going to put another color on it. It'll be an ink I'll put on there, just a touch of ink to give it a little bit of color. But we want that white underneath so that it can help the jewel, whatever color would make the jewel pop off. Looks like I accidentally took a little bit of that. There we go. Fix that bronze piece, and there we go. Okay, I think we are on. Oh yeah, we gotta redo that dry brush bit. There we go. Well, maybe just a little more. Maybe just a little bit more. You're going to blend that in so it doesn't look like we messed up. We don't want it to look like we messed up. Okay. Oh my goodness, we're getting so close. Gonna wait for that dry, almost dry there. I think we said we were going to leave those birdie skulls alone, but I may want just a little bit of sun kiss on just the tops of these guys. Just a little bit of a highlight. Just on the tippy tops. It may be something only I notice, but I'll notice. And that's what matters. Especially with this one, because I'll have to look at it. Because it'll be at my mom's house. Yeah, there we go. I should have made her hat out of human flesh. But that probably would have made my mom would have been like, that's gross. So, here we are. We'll just all think it's charred human flesh, and we'll all know that, but My mom won't. Okay. So again, we're going to come back in here. We're going to give it another little run of the black right here on the edges. On the top. Just make sure everything's got that nice blackness to it. Alright. Now we want to kind of hit this purple sash up with just a little bit of that lightened purple. Woo, that stick's starting to get in my way. I'm just pulling it down to bring it out, catching those edges. Because it's all about that light movement. I think I've said that several times now. I'm going to keep on saying that. I'm probably going to say that every video. About the light movement. Light movement and deep breaths and bold strokes. We're going to get that figured out. Put that crap on a t-shirt, man. Deep breaths, bold strokes. I like that one. Okay. 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 I'm really liking this. Alright, so this hat has a few little stitches on it. Which would have been cool to make it look like Flash. But we're here now. So we need to make the stitches pop off. And we probably need to go ahead and do a little dry brush. So we're going to dry brush it first. And then we're going to hit it up with going to hit up those stitches with something. I don't know what. Yes. Nice. Okay, so okay. What are we gonna make it the color of? Maybe a little bit of a combination of those. A little bit more on the brown side. And again, right here, we're just going to kiss it. We're just going to kiss them. Ooh. make you pucker up. Well, what I think we're going to do is we're going to do this, and then we're going to throw a little bit of a wash on it to kind of help disguise some of that. And just like barely touching these things. Whew. I don't even know if you can see it on the camera. Let me see if I can get it to come in. Yeah, just barely. You can kind of see where I'm doing them, but it is hard to get it to focus into that. Oh, I almost had it for a second. You can see them on there. They're fun. That's really cool. Okay. Okay. Boy, those things are little itty bitty. At the 32 millimeter, there's no way I'd have been able to paint those. But we can paint them on that. That's fun. Okay. All right. So let's do, we're going to do this as a wash next. But we're only going to do it in certain areas, because we want to start making this stone a little bit different colors in different places. So we're going to take a little bit of that. And you want this stuff super thin so it can get into these cracks and whatnot. We're going to take some of this. Regular sienna. We're going to put that in there and kind of fade it into the other one. Woo! I'm telling you, that broomstick and I, we are starting to have issues. I'm going to do that one into the back. Maybe get a little bit more. Again, make sure that's super wet. We're going to pull that around the side here. And we'll do a little bit more of the a little bit more of the burnt. It needs a little bit more water. And what we're trying to do is really let the paint seep in for us and do a lot of this work. We've got that undertone from our Payne's gray and black for that undercoat, and then we're letting this kind of sit on top and pool and show through. Maybe a little bit more of this in a few places. We'll come back here. Definitely want to get a little bit more of that red back in here, though. Right where the cloak and stuff is meeting the ground. We want to get that red. You see that muddy red color. Now, as this dries, it'll seep into these cracks, and some will stay on places and stuff like that, and it's going to really help it look more like slate. Whew. Folks, we're getting real close. What time we got? We're only about 9 minutes over right now. Okay. Okay, so usually I wait till the end to paint that. So it looks like we're going to have to do a little surgery. And we're going to have to get our little magic piece on here that broke off in our first part of filming. So we're going to get this glued on. And then we're going to get that going. I'm going to stand up for just a second because it's been past an hour. And if you don't know my rules yet, then you should. About every hour, you should get up and move around. Even if it's only for a few minutes. Otherwise, you're going to get a big belly like mine. You can see I've got a really big belly. And we got a kitty in the office today. My kitty. She'd probably get mad at me if I touch her too much. But she's down there. This is Octavia. She's a kitty. Are you going to bite me? Probably. Sometimes she's in bad moods and sometimes she's in good moods. Okay. So, what we're going to do is we are going to super glue this guy on. Oh my goodness. There it is. It's right under my hand. I'm always losing stuff like that. That's why I have a bunch of these little like cups and things to help me keep stuff in. Because I'm always like putting little tiny things somewhere and then I can't find them. Okay. Now there comes the fun part where we gotta hold it still. I could always get some of those helping hands, I suppose, but I always end up the springs in those things always end up breaking. Use the tweezers. This part's fairly boring, I'm sure, especially just staring at a hand. But oh, for the love of super glue. Alright, I think we are on there. What I'm going to do, though, since this is like a little magic poof anyway, I can kind of cheat here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to pull a little bit of this super glue off of here. And we're going to kind of reinforce it. Just to give it a little extra dollop of this stuff around the outside, just kind of make it stronger. And to do that, you want to make sure it sticks first, and then you're going to come around and do this. And this piece was already primed, and super glue seems to not mind being painted in acrylic, so I don't worry about it too much. Alright, so that's done. Now, here's a little trick that if you don't know about this one, you should, because this is a good trick. And it's all been all over the place for a long time. We're just going to take some standard rubbing alcohol and we're just going to spritz it real quick. And that's like an accelerator. Be careful getting too much on your model if you've painted it, because like it can strip it. So don't like douse it. You want a little spray bottle. It was just a little thing that clips onto one of these drawers that I knocked off. It just happens to have like all the knives in it. Luckily nothing's in my foot. At least I don't think there's anything in my foot. Oh, goodness, that's funny. All right, now you can kind of really see how that floor is starting to come out for us. Now, I was thinking sandstone at first, make it yellow. And I really like yellows and stuff like that. But then I was like, man, that might be too much. So I decided to go with this. Plus, when the black ring comes up on it, it'll look really, really nice. And I don't want it sitting too much in these cracks as much as I want to get it out a little bit on the edges too. So we're going to kind of manipulate it. But you know how slate looks, where like part of it exposed looks one color and parts of it underneath look another. That's kind of what we're trying to do, is get that. And we might even come back in after we get done letting it dry, and dry brush it with a little bit of that burnt umber. We're also waiting on this to dry. But as you can see, that accelerator, when you put that rodent alcohol, you spray it with that alcohol, and that thing will accelerate super glue like crazy. It's almost ready to paint. So we're just going to wait a few seconds. Ooh-blah-dee-ah, ooh-blah-dah. I guess we can paint the bottom while we're waiting around. I always paint them black. I guess you could paint them any color you wanted. I'm just using black. It always looks great on a table deal. And you can also glue felt to the bottom of them as a kind of a finishing touch. Keep all your strokes going in one direction. Oh, got a little one more rock there. That's okay. We're just going to rub that right off, and we're going to come right back with that black and go right on there, and it'll be just fine. Easy peasy Japanesey. So, like I said, we want to keep all these brush strokes going the one direction. Whatever direction you choose is fine. You can go like this if you really want. If you like that, that's fine. But you'll probably be able to see the brush strokes. So make sure it's something that you like the way it looks when it dries out, brush stroke wise. You could also, I guess you could pull out the airbrush and airbrush it if you really wanted. That seems like an awful lot of work. I like my airbrush, but cleaning that thing, man, woof. Plus, I see a lot of channels that do everything airbrush wise. They don't show you how to like use a brush, how to get in there and do it the dirty way, the hard way, the old way, however you want to call it. So I want to kind of showcase a lot of that. Brush work, things like that. Talk about making your strokes go the right way, you know. But always, always, always paint these bases. Paint the rims of the bases, man. Do not leave it unfinished. They look weird. I've even gotten to where I have some pieces mounted on straight black bases, and I don't like them because it doesn't have enough, like, it needs flock and stuff, and it's driving me nuts. I'll have to go through and redo several of them. Some of them are like, some of my oldest minis don't have any kind of flocking or anything like that on the base, and it makes me crazy. Okay. It is not on there very good. It's a very weak little place. It's making me a little crazy. Put a little bit more of that glue on there. I think I nudged it while we were working, and I dislodged it again. This is definitely one of those gifts that's going to have to be to make sure we put this in the right kind of box, and it's going to be very delicate to move it around. I'm not even gonna spray it this time to accelerate it. We are just gonna let this sit. If we have to, we'll blow on it. But I am sick and tired of this thing going crazy on me. Luckily, I think I have sculpted this glue into looking a lot like the floof that's coming off it already. Okay, well, I guess it leaves us a chance to look at our base. It's actually looking pretty good. It's maybe just a little bit of try just a little bit of this. I really want that floor to come out pretty red. And if I can't get it this effect, like I said, I'll pull out some inks, but they get real shiny, and I don't know if I want to necessarily make this super shiny. I do want to get it reddish. Reddish, but with gray underneath. I think we're there. So now we're just waiting on her hand, or her spell thing, to dry. Just blow on it. That's always fun. So anyway, she's looking really good. We are just about to wrap this up. We are going to finish up her little magic. We'll probably do the same eerie greenness. Although I might do a different technique. And we've still got to do the jewels. So we do need the inks for those. So on a blue, I'm thinking that's teal. Yeah, blue. I'm gonna put a sapphire on there, and maybe a diamond, right? Or not diamond, but a ruby. And inks are cool because like this is Dr. P.H. Martin. Dr. P.H. Martin's Bombay. This one's a blue. And we got a bright red. You can pick these up at like any basic craft store. They're cheap, but they look great. I mean, I guess it's not cheap. You gotta buy like the whole set. You can't just buy one, so there is that disadvantage. But when it comes to making a gem look really good, check this out. Boom. Easy peasy. Right? So we'll make that one blue. We'll make the ones on her belt red. Right? I love when I'm getting close. It makes me excited. I get really excited and I'm almost done with one. I'm like, woo! I get to do something new. We'll see you tomorrow for something new. I got a bunch of things that we can paint. Maybe you guys can help me figure out what we will paint. We can do some work on the Princess Bride. I've got some Princess Bride figures. Or we can work on a Canoness, which is a Sister of Battle, for 40k. Or I've got some kobolds that I need to get done up for my my D&D group. So if there's anybody listening and want to comment, just drop a comment and we'll figure it out. If not, I'll let Kristen pick. Alrighty. Now. Okay. Let's do this thing now. Oh yeah, we're much better now. That looks a lot better. I'm a whole lot less nervous about that. A little bit of water here, huh? That paint's dried out. Good thing we're almost done. Alright, we're going to paint this to start off with. Like that. And we're going to let this dry out. Quick. And then I'm probably going to hit it up with a darker green ink. And dry brush some white on it in a second. Nope, I didn't get everything. There we go. These old synthetic ones are just about done. I bought these a couple of years ago, and our tips are starting to get a little funky. But we've got some new brushes. They'll be here, I think, today. I bought some brushes off of Amazon. They're supposed to be really nice. There's a good price for Kolinsky Sable brushes. So we're gonna see if those are any good. I also have a new wet palette that I know I'm gonna get for Christmas. And so we'll be retiring this old box that I made. But we're going to talk about this old box tomorrow when we get there. Now we're just watching paint dry. Honestly, like, look, we're watching paint dry. What'd you guys do in your channel today? Oh, we watched paint dry. That's what we did for like the whole channel. We just watched paint dry. It was amazing. Should have been there. Man, that light was way in the way today, huh? Really trying to figure out the best place to put all these lights to get the best view. Oh, that was decent. It zoomed in for just a second. She kind of looked at you. She's so pretty. I'm very excited about that piece. We're turning out really well. Now we're talking. I think I found something I need to get done real quick. We need to put just a little bit. Yes, yes, yes. There we go. Again, that may not even be barely noticeable on camera, but it is super noticeable for the rest of us. Alright, that one's clean, that one's clean. Sometimes I feel like I need a hairdryer. I suppose I could use the dryer on the or you could use the air from the airbrush tank compressor. We're just gonna pull out that excess paint. Okay. Now, like I said, we're going to get the green out. This green. And inks are cool. Because it's going to get shiny and it will find the cracks. And it'll get dark green shine in the cracks. And leave everything else kind of bright. Which is what we want to do. Look good. Oh, we were thinking about doing some freehand in the top of her hat. But I think we're going to go ahead and pass on that today. We're going to go ahead, we're not going to worry about it. She looks great. I think her face looks so good that I don't want to take away from it by putting a bunch of funky stuff in here. Because she's got such a great face and such great eyes. I really don't want to mess with it too much. She's got all this other great stuff going on. You can see her. You can see that magic effect now. Oop, where am I going? It still doesn't look quite as good on TV as it does in real life. But there it is. Like I said, we'll throw up one of the shorts. So look forward to seeing her in that. And thank you so much for anybody that stuck around for the whole thing. Anybody who's seen all the videos. So and I know my oldest son was doing a little bit of watching and monitoring to make sure everything was going all right. And Chris has been watching, and a few other folks have watched, and really appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow with something new. Like I said, if you we can either do a Canonus, we can work on some kobolds, or we can start something that's inconceivable and mess with the Princess Bride figures. So let me know in the comments, or else we'll just pick something.